I am a psychiatric nurse and worked in an inpatient psychiatric facility early in my career. One of our residents was selectively mute, a condition in which he didn't, wouldn't, or couldn't speak, but there was no medical reason for it. He also spoke earlier in his life and actually looked quite normal at the time, aside from being about 6 feet tall. He grew up in the Deep South and joined the military at age 19, but one night he disappeared. He was declared a fugitive and eventually declared missing and dead. 10 years later, a 6-foot-tall man walked into the emergency room of a veterans hospital in my area of the Midwest and told the receptionist, "My name is Marion Duchesne and I have been dead for 10 years. Those were the last words he spoke. He was covered in dust and wearing the same clothes he was reportedly wearing the night he disappeared. His social security number was not in use and he did not have any identification, but perhaps he could be identified from his fingerprints. His family was alerted, but his wife replied by saying she was already mourning her late husband and that the person claiming to be her husband could not be her husband. They asked not to be contacted again. Marion paced up and down all day every day, and he moved his mouth as if he were talking or murmuring, but no sound came out. He had a disturbing habit of opening his mouth wide and throwing his head back, as if he was laughing heartily, but you couldn't even hear the sound of his breathing. When I spoke to him, he seemed to be listening, occasionally throwing his head back and pretending to laugh. He tried various medications, but they had no positive or negative effect on him. Occupational therapy didn't help. Marion just grinned, and when he wasn't asked to stay there, he would get up and start walking again. On my last day at work, the last thing I saw was Marion pacing up and down the parking lot with his head thrown back and trying to laugh. Later, I wondered if I had been dealing with a ghost all along. Years have passed, and I still have no idea. I work as a forensic nurse in the detention area of a hospital. We had an old woman who swore she was haunted and tormented by a demon she called Amonarax. A lot of crazy things happened while she was in the unit. We went into the room, did the usual care and left, and a few seconds later she started screaming bloody murder. We ran into the room to find her looking like she had just fought a boxing champion. Bloody lips, black eyes, marks all over her body. No one had ever seen her do this to herself. Everything moves around the room on its own. At one point, she was tied up because the doctor thought she was injuring herself. There was no way she could move or do anything with herself while tied up, but new signs would always appear or her tray or cart would be on the other side of the room. The room is secured, so there is no way anyone else could do this. When we asked her questions, she simply said, "That's Amonarax." After release, we still have problems with this room. If a quick response or a code was needed, it happened in this room. One night, a guard reported that the lights were turning on and off. It's this room.